Hi, I'm Ben.
And I'm Josh.
And this is the Bad at Magic podcast, a podcast about games, life, and other things. And welcome to episode 162.
Okay, Ben, so we're both veterans, right?
Right?
Have you ever told that to somebody and then had them immediately ask you very probing questions about things that you have no business knowing?
No.
Okay, that happens to me sometimes. And this is actually a training that we got. Like, okay, I'm off on a tangent already. But this is training that we got as part of our top secret clearance flying drones. And they're like, oh, be aware of the people that are asking very specific questions. And they gave this great anecdote of a pilot for F-22s that was standing in front of an F-22 at an air show. And then people, like some little lady came up and was like, oh, do you fly this cool plane? Yes, I do. Wow, what's it called? It's an F-22. Wow, what's the maximum operating service ceiling? And so they told us, just be aware of that. That's not a thing that we should be answering questions, even if they are cute little old ladies, right?
Okay, I want to go on a tangent on your tangent, because I've said on the record on this podcast multiple times, the government secrets are boring. However, last time I talked about a book I'd read called The Dead Hand, and this is a very specific kind of government secret that's not necessarily boring, but you understand why it exists, and that is weapon system capabilities. Because when you're trying to get the upper hand on an adversary, you want your weapon system to be able to defeat their weapon system, or you at least want yours to be able to operate within the constraints put upon you by theirs.
Well, this is the moment where they had the Mexican standoff in Infinity War, and Iron Man had a gun pointed at Thrax's head, and his gun got larger, and Thrax said, "Go ahead, I can take it." And then like three people were like, "No, you can't."
You're talking about Drax, the Destroyer.
Drax,
yes.
Dang it, yes, yeah.
Okay, yes, just like that. No, you can't take it. Yes, so this is the kind of secret where, like, and you made the joke by saying the maximum operational service ceiling or whatever. Like, yes, if we know how high that the actual details of how fast it can fly, how much range it has, how high it can fly, those are the kinds of things we keep classified so that someone can't build their defenses to defeat it or don't know what we can do with it.
Yeah, because if the thing flies at X altitude and your missiles only reach to X minus 10 altitude, guess what? Now you've got to rethink your missiles.
Right. Exactly. Okay. Go ahead then.
So multiple tangents. Walk this back because I'm nowhere near this. Anyway,
okay. So, yeah.
what I'm going to ask you now, because I'm going to do that thing to you. I'm going to ask you about weapon systems that you have absolutely no right to know anything about. Do you know how many different classes of aircraft carrier the U.S. currently has?
I know they have names. There's like the Nimitz class, and that's the biggest one. Is that the only one?
Already wrong. Wrong twice in like 4 seconds. There are two classes of U.S. aircraft carrier. There is a Nimitz, that is correct, but that's the old one. That's the like the 1980s version.
Wait, let me see if I can guess the new one. It's the Enterprise class. I don't know it.
The Ford class.
Ford class. Named after President Gerald Ford.
USS General R. Ford, CVN-78 aircraft carrier. It was put into service in 2017. Started construction in 2008. Started construction. It was awarded. The contract was awarded to build the thing in 2008, and then what is that? 5 or 7 years later? Not 7. More than that. 9 years later, finally, like launches out to sea and becomes commissioned in the Navy. It's bigger, it's cooler, it's more awesome. The Nimitz has the steam catapult. The Ford class has an electromagnetic catapult, which they say reduces the space requirements on the ship by like 25%, and the crew complement is 25% smaller, and they don't have to store a bunch of compressed steam, which any train engineer from the 1800s will tell you is not something you want to have around.
Yeah.
It's just cool. It's big and it's awesome. They can topple small countries.
Did you say 162 and I missed it again?
No. This one, okay. These numbers are getting harder and harder to find. This is the most interesting part about 162 I could get. When you are building a ship that is the size of a small skyscraper, you can't just like build it like a house and start at the bottom and work your way up. What they do in modern shipbuilding is they build these sections of it. I think they call them like superstructures or super lifts, something like that. And it's, I don't even know how big they are, but they're like 50 to 100 feet wide. And it's just a cross section. It's like a cake. Like, oh, we're just going to build this slice of the boat. And that way we can get at it from all sides and build the whole thing. And then when you're done, you sandwich it together with the rest of the boat, and then the work then is like integrating all the pieces, making sure all the pipes actually run through it, right?
Right.
And so the USS Gerald Ford had 162 of these sections that they had to stick together to make the whole boat. That's
way more than I would have guessed. If you'd have told me that, I'd be like, yeah, I've seen that before. What is it, like 5 or 6 pieces when they hook it together? 162.
Well, it's 5 or 6 pieces when you're talking about, I don't know, like a ferry, like a little boat. This is a freaking aircraft carrier. These things are enormous. There are multiple jet planes that are housed on these things.
So when we kicked off the podcast, I was TDY to Norfolk, Virginia at the National War College. Anyway, I was there for Joint Professional Military Education Level 2, and on weekends or once a week we'd do a field trip to go do stuff. And one week we were supposed to go on a Ford-class aircraft carrier.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, and they were like, all right, this week we're going to go on the Ford-class aircraft carrier, and then like the afternoon of, they're like, that kind of fell through, so instead we're going to go on a Virginia-class attack submarine. And you know what? That's not a bad substitute.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So I never got to go on an aircraft carrier, but I did get to go on the sub, and that was very cool.
Listen, we know we promised you pizza, but we got sushi instead. Like, okay. What a bummer. I guess.
I like the metaphor of an aircraft carrier being pizza and a submarine being sushi.
Oh, because it's a roll. I just tried to think of 2 things I liked. You're reading way too deep into the things I said.
It was good, though. All right, Josh, last time, I just mentioned a second ago, I talked to you about the book I was reading called The Dead Hand by David E. Hoffman that was about the Cold War, mainly from like the late 70s to the early 90s. And one of the big things was in the partnership between Gorbachev and Reagan, there was this huge reduction in the number of nuclear weapons. There's one thing
there was more transparency too, right? We inspected each other's sites and things. Like it was a partnership to bring the world farther away from imminent destruction.
Yes, it was like we recognized that we built up this horrible, terrible thing because, frankly, nuclear weapons are kind of low tech. They require a lot of energy and investment in order to create the material that can do the boom. But we could do this in the 40s. Like, this is easier than going to the moon.
That's scary to think about.
And so we just kept doing it. And the Russians never really caught up in like the tech computer side of things. That was one of the big sides of that was one of the big things in the book, but they did get pretty good at rockets. So we got low tech bombs that can make giant mushroom clouds, and we got rockets, and we can figure those out. And then we just were like, well, I'll get more than you. Well, I'll get more than you. I'll get more than you. And we just had this big pile of estimated 60,000 of them pointed at each other.
Cool. That's cool. How many would it take to glass the whole planet? Like a quarter of that?
Yeah, exactly. So really terrible. And notably, every president that ever got into office and they said, all right, sir, one of the first orders of business is now you're going to have this suitcase that you carry around with you everywhere and this card in your pocket that can kick all this off. So we're going to sit down and tell you about the SIOP, the Single Integrated Operations Plan, which is like a book where in roughly 10 minutes, you have to make a decision about how many of these things to launch and where.
Talk about, that is the world's worst homework assignment.
It's really bad. And
it's like multiplication tables. You have to memorize this, and if you ever have to use it, millions of people will die.
Without exception, every president, Democratic, Republican, conservative, liberal, nobody thinks this is a good idea once they finally get the briefing. They come out of it. Even Ronald Reagan came out of it going, this is not a good thing. Like, we cannot do this.
That's what you would hope a sane person would walk out of a briefing of that magnitude would say.
Right. So, and I after re-listening to myself talking about this, I made it sound like the threat has gone away. It hasn't really. We've reduced the number of weapons 100-fold, but they've gotten more accurate and more reliable, and they're still there, and they're still pointed at each other, and the president still has an officer following him around with a suitcase full of options in it and a card in his pocket that he can read off to the National Command Authority and validate his authority and bring Armageddon to the world.
Cool.
All that being the case, someone else was as keen on this as maybe I was, and was like, you know what, I'm going to write a story about this and see if anybody in Hollywood wants to produce it. So this guy, I can't remember his name, we'll talk about it more in detail when we actually do this on the show, wrote a movie that director Catherine Bigelow, who also directed Zero Dark 30 and The Hurt Locker, directed, and it just came out this weekend on Netflix. It's called A House of Dynamite. A foreboding title there.
House of Dynamite. Like the whole house is dynamite?
Yes, A House of Dynamite.
Okay.
And it shows you what would happen if a nuclear weapon ever launched and kicked off this whole system that we've created.
Ooh.
So
that's fun.
We'll watch it. I've already watched it. It's fantastic. It also was very realistic representation of a lot of the work I was adjacent to during my career. I was never an operator in one of these operations centers, but I did help with the communication systems that make all of it work, and I spent a lot of time thinking and learning about these capabilities.
Listen, I was never in the operations center pushing these buttons, but I made sure their email worked, so it's really kind of like I was the guy dropping the bomb.
Yes, precisely. Wow, thank you for describing that so well. Yeah. We'll talk about it more in detail. Anyway, I just want to make the point that I didn't make clear last time, that is, this threat has never fully gone away. It still exists. So if you want to see what could happen, watch A House of Dynamite on Netflix, and we'll talk about it on a future episode of the podcast.
So I laughed there, and that might be inappropriate talking about, the destruction of the planet, because I thought you were leading into a different punchline. You said, I know I didn't make this clear last time, and I started laughing because the joke was we were supposed to talk about that movie today on the podcast, but due to miscommunication between the two of us, where I thought you were just asking me a random question and you thought you were giving me a homework assignment, we did not watch this movie together.
Okay. I love that you made that point, because I will talk about that when we talk about common knowledge in the book that I've been reading since last time. Okay.
Does everything we talk about tie back to some life lesson that you're currently learning?
What is that called? The Bader-Meinhof principle, where like when you see something, your mind is primed to see it again.
This confirmation bias? Is that what this is?
So I sent you some photos this week about something I'd forgotten about. I wasn't just trying to surprise you with this, like, oh, hey, guess what? I did this thing. I don't know, 6 months ago, my wife was like, hey, in 6 months, do you want to go camping down in Southwest Utah at this weird place? I'm like, sure, whatever. And that was it. Like, I forgot about it. And this week, my wife was like, all right, it's time. We're doing the thing. I'm like, what thing again?
There's a
She's
thing?
like, it's on the calendar. I'm like, oh, boy.
Oh, okay. Remind me, I'm putting a bookmark in this part of the conversation. We need to talk about calendars for a second.
Okay, it's on the calendar. I'm like, oh, crap. So I look at my schedule at work, and, it's doable. Like, there's some stuff going on. The calendar was kind of clear at work. So I'm like, okay, I can do it. So we jump in the pickup, and we drive 4 hours out into Southwest Utah. The last hour was on dirt roads. Can you think of the last time you've driven an hour one direction on dirt roads?
On dirt roads?
Dirt roads.
All right, the closest I can come to this is one time we went to a park that's out in the west side of Arizona. That is one of the few, dark parks, where it's like certified for astrological phenomenon or whatever.
Oh.
Like it's like no light pollution. That's where a lot of the astronomers
This is
go.
like that.
It was like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So this place was called Outpost X. And the guy, it's only been open for a year, but I guess in the year that it had come out, it had gotten enough buzz on social media that it had caught the attention of one of the staff writers at Outside Magazine. And he'd done a piece on it, link in the show notes, about going to this place. It is a dried up clay lake bed in the middle of the desert. And they've created a glamping campsite at it.
Actual, like, glamping, like hardcore, high-level, fancy.
Glamping, like you get there and the tents are already set up and they've got air conditioners inside and beds, as opposed to sleeping on the ground.
That's still a tent. I don't know. If you're going to have a bed and an air conditioner, you might as well have some walls.
So there's a dozen tents, and then there was half a dozen caves, which are cabins that have the walls stuccoed to actually look like they're made out of rock, and that's what we stayed in. So
you sent me that picture, and I thought you were staying at Mos Eisley.
okay, that's what I want to say. It's no licensing of the intellectual property version of going camping on Tatooine. It looks like Tatooine.
Oh, it's solar object battles themed.
This is not the Star Wars hotel I wanted, Josh, but it's the one I deserved.
Listen, Disney, we have no dog in this fight, okay? Don't add us.
This is the Star Wars hotel at home.
The only reason they get away with it is nobody wants to drive out there to serve them the papers.
So it's only a year old, and even though some of it's not really well constructed, it's new enough that nothing it was completely broken down yet. So the room was pretty nice, had a private bathroom, the bed was comfortable, everything was clean-ish, and
these qualifiers you're tacking onto these descriptions.
Well, it wasn't a hotel and there wasn't a restaurant. There was Pablo making the beds at night. That was it. That was, Okay, so you saw from the photos, and I'll put some in the show notes, that it looks like Tatooine. I mean, they've even got a moisture converter out in the middle of this clay dry lake bed.
Are you sure that wasn't collecting the moisture that you were drinking?
And the main attraction, as pitiful as this sounds, were 4 converted golf carts with fiberglass frames on them to make them look like sand speeders.
I saw that. That felt real budget.
It was, and you know what? It was awesome. After watching What's-Her-Face's review of the Star Wars Hotel and how she paid all this money and they couldn't even generate a simple experience you could have, this was the opposite of that. I went to this really cool barren place where they built a few structures that were interesting. There was this lodge that looks like the carcass of some dead animal, and you go inside and they had incense burning, and there was floor couches, and my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, my wife and I played a board game on the floor, and it was fantastic. It was comfortable and interestingly decorated. There was a fire pit where we cooked dinner. There was hot tubs. There was in-ground trampolines for some reason. There was a giant swing over the lake bed, and then there was the sand speeders. And we drove, and you could just check out a sand speeder for a half hour, and there was 4 of them, and if they weren't busy, you could do it. And when everything is just a giant flat clay lake bed, it's kind of fun to just go tool around in a sand speeder. It was great.
That you started saying all these things. I'm like, oh, this was a couples retreat. Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
Kinda. It's also for families, I guess.
Yeah, that sounds like a perfect place to take my young children, Ben. A dry clay lake bed with nothing to do anywhere. Yeah,
it was the Star Wars Hotel at home. Now, they had created a bunch of lore about this fictional planet that you were on, and there were signs everywhere. There was this dueling area where they had some foam swords that kind of looked like lightsabers that you could go in and settle your disputes. And there were wrecked aircraft, and there were plaques next to them saying what battle had happened that resulted in the aircraft being down, and to watch out for the local creatures and stuff. And then in the bay where you parked the sand speeders, there was 20 little panels of backstories of characters, and then a closet full of costumes, and you can dress up in the costumes that they provided as one of the characters and go around and act out the story. So instead of them providing actors to do it, it's the Star Wars Hotel at home.
It really is.
Yeah.
No, it's Star Wars adjacent. These were glow swords, okay? Uh-huh. They had the X foils. None of this is legally distinct Disney property. I know.
But you know what? This is much more viable. This isn't going to fail in a year or two because it's too expensive and not enough people are willing to pay $5,000 a night. For the low price of $200 a night, you can have a cave.
This really feels like somebody's retirement gig. Either somebody's retirement gig or somebody's dream. I want to rebuild Mos Eisley and they realize they can't license it. And they realize they can't afford any good property, so it's got to be out in the middle of nowhere. And they realize that no one's ever going to come, and so it's just them sitting at a desk like a bad horror movie, waiting for people to come in.
Right? Yeah, their publicity must have been great because, it's just a random Thursday in October, and there was, 15 other people there, paying customers.
Okay. All right.
It was enough that you didn't feel like you were, staying at the Bates Motel, but it was, it wasn't so many that like the sand speeders were never available. It was perfect.
Was anybody cosplaying? Did anybody take them up on the character acting?
Yes. So while we were sitting in the corner playing our board game, there was a couple of people dressed in like Jedi costumes over doing like art in the other corner. There's a pottery wheel for some reason.
What you needed to do, if somebody was in one of the costumes, is identify them, go back to the wall, figure out who they are, and then figure out which character is their antagonist. Immediately dress up as them and go back to where they were and just kick the door down and start screaming at them.
Bill Jean Frosterstein, I thought I'd find you here.
You killed my entire family, and now I'm going to repay the favor. And like throw a bottle at him.
The creators made all these signs everywhere, and they also made like a 4-part podcast that tells the backstory of the planet that I didn't bother to listen to. But I guess if I was going there and I really wanted to get into it, I would have listened to that on the way. And 4 hours driving there is plenty of time.
Oh, you know what? Part of me wants to say, listeners, I know you weren't ever going to fund our trip to the Star Wars hotel. And I'd say if you want to fund our trip to this Outpost X thing, please don't. I don't want to go glamping with Ben at Star Wars at home.
Okay. So after we left, we kind of came back a different path, and we drove directly towards the nearest city. A lot less time on dirt roads. And
I need deep fried food right now.
Yeah. So we headed towards, the nearest McDonald's near the freeway or whatever. And there was this line of cars, like a long line of cars. And we were kind of on a rural highway. The kind of highway that's like 2 lanes and the speed limit is 55 miles an hour and it's straight.
Yeah.
Like that. And then all of a sudden to the side of the road, there starts to be a line of cars with people in it. Like they're waiting in line for something. And it was kind of a long line. So we had enough time, my wife and I in the car, to speculate about what they were waiting for. Like, what are all these cars for? What do you think
was the highway going to merge down to 1 lane and you were being the jerk that was cutting to the front of the line?
No, they were all pulled off, like not just off they were like on the shoulder of the road.
Oh.
So we were trying to see ahead to what it was these people were all lined up for. We were like, what do you think it is? Do you think it's like a race track? Do you think it's the county fair? Do you think it's a flea market? She's like, I don't know. And as we got closer, all of our fun speculation kind of got sober, and it got real quiet in the car as we both looked over and realized all these cars were lined up for a truck that was labeled food bank.
Ooh. Oh. Ooh, that's sobering.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing then, all right, backstory. So I'm guessing Utah's going to have the same problem that my state's going to have in like a week or so. Okay. So listeners, man, sober moment. Way to bring it down.
I know, man.
We are recording this on October.
We were out doing this luxurious vacation at some, fancy resort in the desert, and then we're driving past all these people that don't know where their next meal's going to come from.
Listeners, as we are recording, this is October 25th, 2025, and the U.S. federal government shutdown has been going on for 20-plus some odd days
4 weeks, yeah.
Something like that. And they announced that starting November, most states are going to run out of funds for SNAP benefits, better known as food stamps. And so there's a lot of food insecure households that just flat out aren't going to have food starting next month.
Yeah. Because of the basically politically motivated impasse in the Congress that's causing them not to restart the government.
And while our listeners can probably guess our various stances on this, we don't have to go into that because I don't want to be demonetized.
Yeah. So anyway, that was a sobering moment as we were headed back to the freeway where we thought we were trying to imagine all these fun reasons, and then it kind of brought it down to earth, and I went, oh, these are people that don't have enough money to eat.
On a lighter note, I saw a TikTok earlier today that I really enjoyed talking about this specific phenomenon. And they said, okay, everybody, starting November 1st, our motto is, I didn't see anything. You see a lady in the grocery store peeling the label off of a formula bottle and sticking it into her purse? You didn't see nothing. You see somebody at self-checkout that's ringing up a box of diapers as a 99-cent pack of gravy? Maybe it was mislabeled. You didn't see nothing. And it's just this fun reminder that, yeah, we are all in this together, everybody.
Yeah. That's funny. The way you describe that, it's very liberal Robin Hood kind of stuff. Mine's more like let's redouble our efforts for our Harry Potter themed food drive we're doing at work.
Yeah, Mr. Slytherin house that didn't donate anything to anybody.
I donated this year.
Which is very Slytherin, so I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah. So we had the whole family over to the house tonight, and it's fun to, I don't know, have an established place where we're the destination. My son brought my grandkids over and his wife, and my my niece came over, and we did all the traditional Halloween stuff. You know, we carved pumpkins and decorated, and it was, I've been helping my daughter make her costume and stuff. And what a great time of year! How are your Halloween costumes coming, Josh?
They're coming. I did some work on those before I came out here tonight. I got out.
Did you settle on something your son was willing to tolerate?
Oh, for the yeah. We're doing How to Train Your Dragons. I thought I said this already.
Okay. Yes, you did.
We're doing the Vikings thing, and I'm putting together. So I got a majority of it on Amazon. Listen, listeners, this is basic, cheap budget cosplay 101. Get the 80% solution with colored clothing, like from your discount retailer of choice, and then find the key elements that are going to tie it all together, and people will identify you. And so bought most of the clothing online, and now I am constructing Viking helmets, some accoutrement for my costume to make it clear that I am Stoic the Vast, and then weapons. My son needs a single-bladed bearded axe and a shield, and I need just a double-bladed axe. So I should get all of that done before the end of next weekend. I guess we'll find out.
Out of cosplay foam?
So the foam, I've been doing that for pieces of the costume, and then the helmets. The weapons gotta be wood, Ben. What if we need to defend ourselves while we're out trick-or-treating?
I don't know. There's just come this weird time where like you have to make your weapons non-lethal. You're not going to make it through security at the Comic-Con.
All right, I'm going to get a picture for the show notes. We have so many weapons that I have created for Halloween's over the years.
You have an armory?
We mounted them all to the wall in our game room, and yeah, we have an armory of fantasy weapons.
That is excellent.
I'm going to hijack for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've got a bad at tech that I wanted to talk about. Okay. So as we are recording, again, it's late in October. And for the tech savvy of us out there, like Microsoft Windows 10 came to end of life, early this month? Like you got all the little pop-up things like, we're not going to support it.
I'm aware of this from a professional perspective because I used to work for Microsoft, and there's a time period where like they want you to get off of it because it's costly to them to continue to supporting it. So now they're having like enterprise level customers that can't get their act together and like update their infrastructure and get off of it. Now you got to pay us extra, and we'll continue to support it. And that has downhill effects that are impacting like my business that we do, where we're helping secure people's infrastructure. And we're like, oh, we got to keep paying attention to our customers that haven't gotten off of Windows 10 yet. So yes, yeah. I'm aware of Windows 10 end of life.
So this is the banner ad that I got popped up on my system when I went to run my my Windows update. It's like, hey, Windows 10 is now end of life. We are no longer pushing out security patches. That's the one. It's like, okay, well, crap. I can't not have security patches. I also know how that works. If you don't get the latest security patches, eventually someone's going to get you.
Right.
Grandma, if you're still running Vista, just unplug the computer and throw it in the pool at this point. So I sit down. I'm like, all right, I guess today's finally the day. I'm going to make this stupid upgrade. And I don't want to, and I hate Windows 11 and all of its finicky things, and I've got to go shut off its widgets and move my start button over to the right side, and then all of the online, like, oh, we want to constantly help you and give you constant good suggestions, like switching to Edge. Microsoft, you do not know my setup better than me. You don't recommend Jack to me, Microsoft. Microsoft sponsor the podcast.
I'm curious about, okay, I want to challenge this stance you're taking because on the Bad and Magic podcast, we one of our values we espouse is learning. If like we say frequently, if you always want to be right, you have to be willing to change your mind. And let me say, I know from having gone through like a internal upgrade cycle of like 3 different product versions from Microsoft, they are putting a lot of effort into trying to figure out better ways to do things that aren't just about monetizing and getting you to subscribe to more things and getting more of your money. Some of them actually are well-researched improvements to efficiency and interface that maybe you should give a try.
Like Edge? You're telling me to use Edge? I'm never switching browsers. That's never going to happen.
I was being vague on purpose, and I wasn't even thinking of a particular thing. You mentioned like where the start button is on the screen. I mean,
you can't move my cheese like that, okay? The start button has been in the lower left-hand window since Windows 3.1.
This is Josh's version of if you always want to be right, you have to be willing to change your mind.
You can't put the gas pedal on the right side of the car and then just decide after 50 years of car making that we're going to put it on the left side instead. Ben, people will die, okay? This is one of those things. You don't get to put the start button all willy-nilly.
Okay. All right. So you're already a bit hostile towards any changes. This doesn't bode well.
I'm not hostile towards changes. I'm hostile toward Microsoft telling me I need to change for reasons that they're not willing to elaborate on.
Sometimes they don't tell you. They just change it and don't ask.
But those are the worst updates.
The ones I'm thinking of, for instance, Microsoft Word. Over the cycle going from Word 2000 to Word 2002 to Windows XP, they introduced the ribbon thing at the top. But for somebody that still wanted to use Word like it was 1995, you could still go in and disable the ribbon and customize the menus, and it's all still there under the hood. Like, you can still make it like that if you want. But try it. It's
here. Okay. Yes. Here is one spot that I will agree with you. They made a change, and I was upset with it at first, but now that I'm used to it, it's fine. And the ribbon is what it is. It's
right.
Just your menus more accessible. That's all it is.
Right. But a lot of research went into changing it.
Okay. So I go to Windows Update because I'm assuming I need to update Windows. I should go to Windows Update, and it tells me, your system does not meet the system requirements to update to Windows 11. Poo-poo on you.
Oh,
and I looked at it. I looked at it. I'm like, there is no way that can be right. Like at first, I just took it at face value. Like, okay, well, it's got to be the TPM, right? It has to be. So for people that don't realize this or don't know this, Windows 11 is now requiring security hardware on the machine as integrated with the operating system to help be even more secure. That's the TPM, which is, what is it? I don't even know what it stands for. It's some token manager or some nonsense.
I don't remember that acronym, yes.
Okay, yeah. It's encryption keys at the hardware level to protect your BIOS and all the firmware. And Windows needs to be able to talk to it. But like I was certain, like I got this motherboard and this processor only like a couple of years ago. There's no chance. And I know Microsoft have been talking to manufacturers about this for a decade. There's no way that this thing is not up to spec. And I looked up both the processor and the motherboard, specifically in Microsoft's like this should be supported area, and they both said, yeah, you're totally supported. Like, what's going on? And so I fall down this rabbit hole of like, here's all the hidden things that Microsoft doesn't tell you have to be a certain way in order for you to upgrade. And the first one that I keyed in on was, you got to check the partition style of your operating system's primary hard drive. Like, why? But whatever. And so I go check it out, and it turns out, yes, I was using the legacy one that has been around since the dinosaurs, I guess.
FAT32?
MBR. No, it's different. This is different. It's the MBR is the master boot record. And I guess it's just a partition flavor. It's not even the partition style. Like you're talking about FAT32 versus NTFS.
But that's not just a switch you can flip. That requires you to like completely redo your computer.
No. It is a switch you can flip.
It is?
There is... Windows knew this was a problem and put a command line executable into a security update years ago in order to convert. It's literally called MBR2 EITFS or whatever the new standard is. It's a command line thing that you can do. And like all the tutorials I'm reading, like, it even comes with a validation setting, so it won't do anything. You can just run it on your system and see if it'll work. I'm like, okay, great. That's got to be what it is.
You bricked your computer, didn't you?
I did not. I'm talking to you on my computer, Ben.
Oh, okay.
So I'm a computer scientist.
I know, but I also know that you sometimes have to jackhammer the floor of your shower. So like, what happened?
So I went into the command line. I start typing in the prompts, and it goes through. And it's like, validation failed. You are not eligible to update from MBR to the thing that it needs to be and do the thing. I'm like, why? Why can this possibly be a thing? And I start researching it. Like, okay, well, maybe it's because you have more than 3 partitions on the same drive. Nope, I only have 2. Maybe it's because of there's a system recovery partition on the drive, which I did have, which Windows asks you if they can set up in case your computer ever I don't know, takes a bullet to the chest or something. You can hit a few buttons in Windows Setup and it'll restore to factory defaults. And it takes about 500 megs on your hard drive to just like keep those settings like separate. Like it's a separate partition. You don't even have access to that memory anymore. And they're like, oh, if you have that, then you can't run this tool. I'm like, all right, well, screw that. Reformat that partition. It's gone now. Then I forgot that I didn't reallocate that space back to the master partition, so it kept telling me it failed because there was like too many partitions, so I've got to reallocate it back to that. And finally, after all of that, it goes, okay, yeah, sure, perfect. This validation complete. Go ahead and do it. Okay, great. Oh, you should back up all of your stuff before you run this. Whatever. I don't care. I'm so pissed off at this point. Brick my computers. Just
give me an idea of how much time you'd spent at this point.
At this point, I was probably 2 hours into it.
Okay.
So that's not an insignificant amount of time.
So you started off with the hypothesis that like there must be a mistake, and if there's not, maybe it's something I can fix easily. So I'm going to keep digging until I figure out what it is and change. Oh,
you know what? I did miss a step in this. So at the very beginning, when Windows Update says you can't update, I said that can't be right. I started looking around for a second opinion. All right, Microsoft, screw you and your update software. I need something else to tell me that I can't update. And I found, buried on Microsoft's own website, they have a separate app, like a system health check or something. And they said in there specifically, one of the things that this does is we'll tell you if you can upgrade to Windows 11 or not. And I downloaded that and ran it, and it said, oh yeah, you're totally good to update to Windows 11. Yeah.
Huh.
Like, your system is compatible. Not that you're good to go, but your system's
so annoying
compatible.
that they would have like a checker where the one that they give you to run doesn't check the same things as it actually is checking when you try to do it.
Let me lay out all my evidence before we get to my closing statements here. So I run the partition thing and I update from MBR to whatever the new acronym is, and it's done. I'm like, all right, perfect. I must be able to update now. Go to Windows Update. Nope, you're not allowed to Windows Update. Are you kidding me? What could possibly be going on now? And it's like, oh, well, you got to go double check and make sure your TPM is actually turned on. How do I do that? Oh, well, you go to the device manager and you look at the hardware specs for your motherboard. And I look and check. Nope, it's turned off. Why is my TPM turned off? I have TPM on this thing. I swear I do. So then, now I'm outside of Microsoft. Now I'm in the BIOS. Okay. You ever try to work on your BIOS? You can't look at a browser tab and work on the BIOS at the same time.
Right.
So now I'm on my phone, like watching this guy walk through the settings, because it's not a, go to this tab and check the box that says on. It's go to this tab, turn on the advanced settings, then go to this other tab and go in here, disable this, which will then restart, which will enable this other thing that you can now click into. That's 4 menus deep, and you've got to reset this one and then save and restart and then go back in and then restore your factory default settings, and then you should be good to go. Like, are you out of your mind? Oh, by the way, forgot this part. Had to update my BIOS before I started all of this because I was running off of the one that's several years old.
Yeah, that's a white knuckle thing to do to your computer.
Yeah, listeners, if you're not a computer person, updating your BIOS is like, what's the comparison that I can do for a car?
Oh man,
it's like replacing the engine, but not knowing if the engine's going to fit. And you've got to rip out the old engine first, and then you're putting in the new one, and you're just crossing your fingers that it's going to fit into that same spot. And if it doesn't, you're screwed. There is nothing. Your computer is a paperweight now.
Yeah, I would be like, it's more like you're driving and you just put cruise control on, you're going straight, and you're going to swap out your steering wheel.
That's a good analogy too. The idea here being that if the BIOS update fails, you don't have a working
then
BIOS,
you're just screwed.
And your hardware is now scrap.
Yeah.
Oof. All right, so got this all done. Updated the BIOS, updated all the BIOS settings, go back into Windows, open the device manager, TPM enabled. Perfect. All right, I'm good to go.
Run the checker again.
Go to Windows Update. Your hardware is not compatible with Windows 11.
What is it this time?
Then I go back to the other thing, my second opinion program, and it says, oh no, you're good to go. Click this button to start updating to Windows 11. I'm like, you know what? I'm rolling these dice because there is no chance that I'm out of compliance now. And so I let that thing go, and that was scary. I will tell you right now, because it downloaded in, 60 seconds, and it goes, oh, your screen will restart multiple times while we are updating to Windows 11, right? Then it restarted.
That's frustrating that you weren't able to get through the front door, so you went through the back door.
I'll get to my closing arguments in a minute. Like the thing, like it goes for a bit and then it restarts and it comes up to a black screen that says Windows is updating, and it had just a little spinny dots and 0%. Ben, it sat at 0%, I swear to you, for 20 minutes. And
long enough to make you doubt everything.
Long enough that I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to be computer shopping this weekend.
Oh man, so I went through so many times where it generally would fail at the 0%, and if you tried to do anything, you ruined it.
That's the thing. You can't, like, at this point, dude, your operating system is reinstalling. You cannot touch anything.
So you just gotta hope it's, even though whoever the software designer was that made it do something for 20 minutes and tell you 0 the whole time, which is really, really bad user interface design. Like that. The whole point of having a progress meter so they won't touch it. So you have to make it go from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 over that 20 minutes so that they go, at least something's happening. I better not touch it. What's the point of putting 0 on the screen if you're not going to go to 1?
After 20 minutes, it went from 0% to 1%. And I threw up my hands. Oh, hallelujah, everything's fine. I unplugged my mouse and my keyboard so my cats wouldn't touch it, and then I walked away from it.
All right, it's doing something. Whew. All right, now, did you do the math? Like, if 1% equals 20 minutes, and somehow they calculate that exactly right, this is going to be done in 7 days from now.
Ben, again, I am a computer scientist. I know that those progress bars mean nothing.
Right? It's not proportional. It doesn't mean time. It doesn't mean data. It's just something.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it calculates on. They are custom coded by the person that's making this installer. Like, who knows? Who knows?
I feel like there's a really important thing. I just described it. I'm going to repeat myself because I'm stupid. That's a really intimate psychological thing that's happening right there. It's like, hey, the computer's going to be unavailable for a little while, and it's best if you don't touch it. But you're going to want to. And so to keep you at bay, we're going to put this little bar, this spinny wheel, this thing up on the screen that's going to say, hey, we're still working on it. Don't touch it. That's the whole purpose of that thing.
At work right now, we are we're updating our intake cycle. So when you drop off your stuff for taxes, like there's a bunch of stuff that we need to know. Listeners, if you ever had your taxes done, your accountant asked you a whole lot of questions that didn't seem like they had anything to do with your taxes. Well, guess what? They did. You just don't know that, and it's not your job to know that. And so while we're doing this, we're trying to digitize this form. So it's like, answer these like 7 questions. All right, so the first version that our person came up with was like, oh, here's all the questions on a page. Dude, this page scrolls forever. You cannot put this in front of a person. Like, oh, okay, we'll break it up into sections. They broke it up into a bunch of sections, but they didn't give you an indication of section X of X you were on at the bottom of the page.
Oh, so they didn't know.
Like, okay, so am I just going to click next forever? Am I doing this? Like, do I need to set aside an hour? Can I do this, like, as I'm at a stoplight? I need some indication of where I'm at in this process. And so they did you are on section X of X. I'm like, perfect. That's all
X
we
of
need.
Y, yeah.
Yeah, X of Y. Thank you. So that's what your progress bar is trying to do, but it should, like, this Windows 11 update tool, you need to have a tooltip on that screen. Like, just to remind us, don't touch anything. Everything's fine. Nothing is broken. We have deactivated your keyboard for your own safety.
All right. So my Windows 11 experience was very different than yours in that there was
you bought a new computer and you opened the box.
No. You're getting behind me. 10 years ago, I don't know, 5 years ago, when Windows 11 first came out, there were some features that it had that I wanted that I was not able to have. And I'd had my computer that I bought from Falcon Northwest a decade before that I nursed along. You know, I'd upgraded the memory, I'd upgraded the hard drive, I'd upgraded the video card, but I still had the original motherboard and processor. And the processor wasn't upgradable because it was basically the most that motherboard can handle. So when I ran that tool that you were talking about that checks your system resources, it said, you can't do it. And it was what you said. It was that there's some hardware chip on the motherboard that allows it to maintain tokens that allow hardware that out of software security.
Yeah.
Now, this was a new concept to me. and I like it. This gets into everything that my company does in industry. And that's the idea that, like, before it used to just be the wild, wild west when it came to security. Like, they were trying to design a secure operating system, but that wasn't their first priority. They were just trying to sell you some stuff. And every now and then a new version would come out. And the only thing the new version needed was more hard drive space, more RAM, more processing power. So if I wanted to upgrade from Windows 3.1 to Windows 95 to Windows 98 to Windows ME to Windows NT to Windows 2000 to Windows XP to Windows 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, most of the time all it needed...
I need you to stop right there. At no point did anybody think it was a good decision to upgrade to Windows 8.
Or Windows ME.
Or Windows ME.
That was before your time, but yes.
Skip both of those.
It was just more. Like, all of those steps was just more. Like, you just need more processing, more RAM, more hard drive. That's it. There was never any kind of like, your system architecture doesn't meet the minimum standards we're requiring for something other than requiring more resources. This is about keeping you secure from hackers and for people trying to steal your identity and for people trying to get access to your system. And that's a really interesting thing to add into the requirements for an operating system upgrade and say, we're going to gatekeep. We're going to keep you out because you don't meet our minimum security specifications, not our system resource specifications. That's a big deal.
Well, and part of that has to be because us as the consumer, this is not necessarily beneficial. Well, it is beneficial to us, but this is not a feature that is targeted at us. This is a feature that is targeted at the fact that Microsoft knows for a fact that it is the primary operating system for every Fortune 500 company on the planet, and also probably most governments.
Yeah, but it would also prevent things like a random hacker using some 0-day to get access to your computer and turn it into a bot for a distributed denial of service attack or something like thereunto.
Nah, but that's too altruistic. There is no way Microsoft is going out of their way to make it this hard to upgrade to their latest version. Unless they're getting enormous kickbacks from motherboard manufacturers, there is no chance that they're doing this out of the goodness of their heart.
Okay, I get what you're saying. I also have been involved in the discussions where they just talk about how, like, we need to stay, there's an arms race going on here, and we need to stay a step ahead of it. And that requires ethical practices in security baseline.
Well, that's where incentives align, right? You've got the people that are like you that have the mindset like security. We should have security for security's sake, but that doesn't there's no money in it. But that aligns with the idea of like, hey, if our system is shown to be more hackable than Apple's, guess where everybody's going to go running to?
Great. I like this, and I think a good parallel to this was seatbelts back in the mid-20th century. Like, there was a time where people just thought it was inconvenient and wrinkled your clothes and it was uncomfortable and I didn't really need it, and manufacturers were only putting it in because they were forced to by the government. And then a few brilliant car makers like Volvo's were like, hey, we can make our cars safer than anybody else's, and if you get in a crash in it, you're more likely to live. And that became a selling point. It actually became tied to the incentives for them to make the safest cars. And then it became an arms race of sorts. They're like, our cars are safer than your cars, and our cars got the maximum score on the tests and whatever.
Well, nobody cared about safety with the Model T because it was going faster than a brisk walk. But now you start getting up to like the Corvette level where people are, being launched through the windshield and wrapping their torso around a telephone pole. Now safety is a little more important.
Definitely. But, I mean, to be fair, as soon as we invented moving vehicles, people found ways to die from them. I think the very first train killed a guy who was like, it certainly can't be approaching me that fast. I don't need to get out of the way yet. It was going, 30 miles an hour, which is faster than a person can run.
Yeah. Okay. So we're off on a tangent. I keep saying I was going to wait for my closing statement on this one.
Okay, go ahead.
Your Honor, I have presented all the evidence. Me, a person with a college level degree in computer science that has built every PC that I have ever owned, built from the ground up, that is good at researching these kinds of things, understands the technology. Like, I knew every facet of everything that I had to do in this whole thing, and it took me multiple hours to make this happen against the clear direction that the operating system was giving me. The system told me, no, you cannot update. And it took me jumping through circus hoops. I am successfully running Windows 11 right now on the same computer that I recorded this podcast on the last time. So Windows Update can suck eggs. Like, I was compatible with Windows 11. So I am so furious at the number of people that I guarantee that don't have the level of expertise that I have, that saw that message and just threw their computer into the trash and went to the store to buy a new one because Microsoft made it inordinately difficult to get this upgrade to work.
Okay. All right. So let's pretend you are prosecuting counsel and you just made your closing statements. What's the crime that I'm deciding on here if I'm the judge?
The crime here is you, the manufacturer, are lying to the public to some extent, that making them think that their stuff is obsolete. Hey, you are no longer going to get security updates. Your system is going to be vulnerable unless you go buy all new things, or two, have the complete in-depth understanding of the technology to realize you don't need to go spend any more money. You just need to spend a little time.
Okay, I want to ask you a question, because I know all those steps that you were describing about changing your master boot record and your BIOS and that kind of stuff. Do you think any one of those steps was a deliberate gatekeeper?
The MBR to GPT, that was the acronym that I was missing before. Like switching the style of the partition of my hard drive.
I mean, are you alleging that someone deliberately made something difficult just to be difficult?
If Windows Update can check my system and say you are not compatible with Windows 11, if it doesn't then immediately have a button that says click here to find out, one, the reasons that you can't update, and two, the common fixes to upgrade to those to make it better, then yeah, Windows did not take the steps that they should have for me as a consumer to confidently make this change.
So what's the crime they're being accused of?
The crime I'm accusing them of is lying by omission. Okay, they were trying Windows. I told you the first text that I sent you was, crap, I'm going to need to go buy a new motherboard and a new processor.
I remember this. Because
Windows is telling me it's not compatible. And that was before I spent 3 hours upgrading everything. And it's just infuriating that Windows has the information clearly somewhere to tell me, no, something's wrong. Try again. Like I'm on The Amazing Race and I'm having my work checked and I've just got to keep coming back and seeing, is it right now? Like, you could tell me, you have the information. You could tell me what I need to do, and you're not. That's a deliberate decision. And that deliberate decision is causing consumers to spend way more money than they need to.
Okay, so you're saying they should have put more effort into maybe that's on purpose. What, as a giant corporation, where you didn't produce the hardware that your software is running on, and the end user needs to do something like reformat the BIOS, like, do you want to take on the liability that comes from being like, all right, all you need to do is...
Ben, no. You and I both know all they could have said is like, oh, you need to change your BIOS settings. And we have no dog in that fight. Go figure it out on your own. Like, if that would have been far better than telling me I needed to go buy... This is the real problem, right? Because, yeah, you're right. Microsoft has no dog in the fight when it comes to my motherboard that I've purchased, but they do when it comes to the Windows keys, okay? And if I go buy a new box, a brand new computer that's pre-built at Walmart that has Windows 11 on it, Microsoft is getting a portion of those proceeds because that is a new activation.
I get it.
All right.
I don't want to argue against what you're alleging here.
Did they commit a crime? Probably not. Is this absolutely anti-consumer? Yes, and you will not convince me otherwise.
I don't want to try. You're right that they could have put more effort into making it easier for you to keep what you have because it's good enough and it just needs to change, as opposed to forcing you to buy something new that they're going to get a little bit of money on. Do I think they do that on purpose? Most likely not.
What? But why are you such a Microsoft apologeticist? You did the same thing when Apple pushed an update to old iPhones to like restrict their processing ability for the life of the battery.
All right, let's say for the sake of this argument that you could actually get a judge to decide what you're saying, that these were anti-consumers practices. What would you want to be done about it?
I would want Microsoft to I would want two things. I would want Microsoft to completely revamp the Microsoft update feature to do all the things that I just said. Hey, you're not compatible. Here's why. Here are the things that you need to do. And at that point, then as an informed consumer, now I can make the decision.
Right. Do I want to buy a new computer, or
do I want to upgrade this piece of hardware? Do I want to take these extra steps? So I want to learn enough about my BIOS to do the changes, or take it to an expert.
So the only way you're able to figure this out is by doing research online with other tech-savvy users rather than getting the information from your operating system.
Exactly. You need to be transparent in the reasons that I need to go spend extra money. That's one thing. The second thing that I would want that would never fly, but I'm going to start with it because you negotiate with everything that you want to get down to what you actually need. It would be there needs to be some way to I want my money back. If I purchased a new computer because Microsoft told me I needed to, I want at least a fraction, whatever I spent, whatever portion of that $sign was the Windows 11 key, I want that money back, Microsoft.
I can see that. But you know how those class action lawsuits work. The lawyers get paid handsomely, and we get a check for $1.62.
Hey, I got a check for $50 from a class action lawsuit that I signed up for like several years ago about some data security happened at my optometrist office.
How did you feel about that?
How do I feel about the money?
Yeah.
Well, because I'm quoted on this podcast. Like, anybody that doesn't think all of your information is already out there in the world is just naive. Everything that you have ever purchased, said, sold, signed up for, like, all of that is public information if you know the right places. And so all my information is already out there. Oh, there's another data breach? Cool. Do I need to change my credit card? That's my only real question. And so for this, and I signed up for it years ago, and so a $50 check comes in the mail. Ben, that feels like free money.
$50 is $50. Okay, so like a week ago, something happened. This impacted my work. Basically, people, if you think the internet is just some mysterious place out there where everything happens, you got to remember that for anything to work, there still has to be a computer somewhere with a processor and some RAM and a hard drive. And for some reason, the reasons are probably known at this point. Link in the show notes to an article by somebody much smarter than me explaining it. Amazon's data center in the East Coast and the United States was having issues with DNS, the domain name service. And
Yes, I just want to put this on the scale for a second, okay? First of all, anybody that's ever worked in IT knows if you're having network problems, it's DNS. And second, AWS, Amazon Web Services, hosts probably 70% of the internet on their systems.
Let's talk about why for a second. Maybe you already know this, but I only recently learned it. And that is that, like, Amazon just started out as an online retailer. And in order to meet the demand that was required for their, like, highest volume shopping season, they're like, well, we need a bunch more computers, but only for this one time of the year. Like, just these couple of months here. And the rest of the time, we've got all this latent processing power and storage space that we're not using. So how about we try to let people rent it the rest of the time? And Amazon Web Services were born. And now it might be a bigger part of their business than their retail operations.
I guarantee that it is. And it is the standard method of operating large data centers like this.
Right.
Because it is so much more cost effective
when people talk about the cloud in air quotes, they're talking about Amazon Web Services and others like it, Google and Apple and Microsoft.
It's a very high threshold before it starts to make sense for you to own your own IT infrastructure. And below that threshold, it is way more cost effective and a lot easier to just have Amazon Web Services do it.
So any website you visit, any email you receive, any stream that you watch, any app that you use is connecting to a server somewhere that's probably in an Amazon Web Services data center. And whatever happened with DNS that day, it went down. And for the most part, that just means stuff gets rerouted, it's slower, it's less efficient, a few services are unavailable, everybody knows it's a problem, they have backups and ways to fix it, they figured it out, it probably, that specific thing won't happen again, and they brought it back up. However...
And still, multiple people were probably fired, if not executed. Like this thing was so big, I would not be shocked if people died because of it.
However, sometimes the world that we live in has become comically weird and crazy things start to happen. So I didn't know about this one until Josh told me about it. Go ahead, Josh.
This is one of my favorite things ever. So you hear about these big things. You hear about these huge things that happen, and then either they turn out to be nothing burgers or they're a blip and everybody forgets about it. Like, remember Y2K?
Yeah.
Everybody thought the whole world was going to melt down.
Burger.
All the nukes were going to launch, and then nothing happened. The worst thing that I heard of happening was somebody went to Blockbuster Video and dropped off a videotape that the system said had been checked out since 1902, and he owed like several $100,000 in late fees. So that's the best story from Y2K that
I can just imagine some minimum wage worker looking at that and his brain not even saying that that's wrong and be like, yep, that checks. All right, man, pay up.
It says $300,000, sir. And if I don't collect that from you, then I get fired. Like, yeah, I can see that happening. Okay, so this one was great, and I loved it. I'm so glad I found out about it. I did not know that there was this thing, but there are luxury smart beds, okay? This brand, it's called 8 Sleep. They make hardcore super mattresses. Like, you see
this
the
is
Sleep
the
Number
Tesla
beds.
of mattresses.
This is the Tesla of mattresses. You've seen like the Sleep Number beds where you can adjust the firmness. You've seen beds that can cool or heat depending on how you want to sleep. You see the ones that move that can tilt you up so in case you want to read or elevate your legs or whatever. This mattress does all of those things. And there's a paid subscription service where you can access it from the cloud. I don't know why you would want to do that.
There is a paid subscription service, or that's the only way to run it?
This is a paid subscription service because it uses AI to track your sleep habits, your respiratory patterns, and even your heart rate. And then it puts together all of this health data and feeds it back to you.
That sounds awesome. What could go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong with having a mattress that is connected to the internet? Well, Ben, it turns out that
Amazon Web Services had a problem with DNS last week.
And so this is the best. There were some people that were complaining about these mattresses. Apparently, everybody that had this subscription service, not everybody had the same problems, but everybody had problems. Some people's mattresses, the heat function just wigged out, and it cranked the mattress temperature to 110 degrees Fahrenheit, pegged there, and would not let the user restore it.
And this happened in the middle of the night, right? It's like
you're
laying in bed sleeping. Somewhere in some data center 100,000 miles from where you are has a problem, and now your mattress turns up to 110 degrees and won't go down.
And you just wake up at 3 a.m. and your mattress is on, like not actually, but feels like it's on fire.
If it was a cup of coffee, you couldn't sip it.
Yeah, and the app that you use to control it is non-responsive. All right, that one's pretty bad, but I think the worst one was the ones that all decided for some reason to crank up to like the upright position that you would take if you were going to read a book before you went to bed.
In the middle of the night while you're sleeping?
In the middle of the night while you're sleeping on it, and would not reset back down to flat.
Okay, wow. Hashtag a boring dystopia. So these are the kinds of things that happen unintentionally. Like, here's what the default it goes to when it loses contact with the server is. But it's also kind of scary to think these are also the kind of things that could be under control if a malevolent actor was trying to mess with you.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, there is some...
Okay. So, I'm on record. So some of the cyber attacks, the known cyber attacks that have been conducted have done these exact kind of things. Like, hey, we're gonna send instructions to this piece of critical infrastructure that controls energy or centrifuges that enrich uranium to create nuclear weapons, and we're gonna remove the safeguard and make it as hot as possible. Like, how hot could the heater in your bed actually go if there was no safeguard in place? It could light on fire. Could it fold in half and crunch your body?
Just folds you like a lawn chair. Just smother you to death like trying to elevate your legs too high.
Do both. Smash you like a clam and then light on fire.
So like cook you like a panini press. Like Okay. All right. So here's the thing. Like
I'm not going to get over this for a minute. Okay.
All right, I'm on record, and I've said this before. I firmly believe that there is a Chinese operations center somewhere in mainland China that has a big red switch on a wall, like from a Frankenstein movie, that says U.S. Internet, and they can just flip that sucker off whenever they feel like. So now,
Sure.
here's the thing, Ben. I believe that capacity exists at the nation-state level in multiple places across the planet, okay? That's one. Two, the types of people that have the expertise in order to implement such a system are also uber ridiculous nerds like ourselves. And
Yeah.
I guarantee that if I had the ability and the know-how and was tasked with creating a big master button that turned off the US internet, I would 100% write so much petty nonsense code into that button. And one of them would be, yes, fold everybody in this Panini press. Yes, I want all the damage dealing weapons in Fortnite to go down to 1 damage per shot just to screw with everybody. I want all of the mobs in World of Warcraft to be elite and 10 levels higher than they were instantly. Like all of the stupid petty nonsense that I could possibly program into this thing, because it's going to be the apocalypse anyway. I'm going to put as much funny nonsense into it as possible.
But turning it off is like a one-time thing, and it's not that impactful. Like, if you just turned everything off, we'd figure out what the problem was and turn it back on. It's way more interesting to think of all the possibilities of things you can do without turning it off.
Yeah, well, not just the fun you can have.
Everything you were just describing.
Yeah. Just the whole thing, like, hey, what if the power grid, instead of sending 120 amps to everybody's house, it sent 180
right.
volts to everybody's house. Fry every consumer electronic on the eastern seaboard in the matter of an hour.
Yeah. Not that particular hypothetical. I'm not aware of any capability that could do that. There's, just dumb old style protections in place, transformers and resistors and breakers and stuff. That
we should watch a documentary or something. Do some research on the U.S. power grid, because Ben, the more I learn about the power grid, the scarier it gets. Like, I know I'm at the peak. I'm trying to walk down the peak of Mount Stupid on that subject, and the farther I get down to that valley of despair, it's more despair than you're ready to accept.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then let's not go there.
Well, I'm going to pitch you one sentence that's going to change your entire thought process on the U.S. power grid. Okay. It is a logistics system that delivers everything exactly when it's needed with zero storage capacity.
Yeah, that's definitely a recipe for failure, which we seem to have constantly.
Yeah, anybody that's experienced a rolling brownout or blackout or whatever. Or it gets too hot outside and a physical wire gets too long, hits a tree, and shuts down multiple cities.
I've lived in places where it's much, much worse than it is in the United States. So it's hard for me to be like in Italy. They used to just have deliberate brownouts, and they metered you at the house so that when we lived there, we could never have 2 major appliances on in our house at the same time. And if we ever did, it tripped at the breaker down the street.
Oh, wow! That's anti-consumer. Why are you selling me these appliances? This is ridiculous.
Right, but you just had to be careful. You'd be like, does anybody have the microwave on? I need to dry some clothes.
One of the largest nuclear power plants in the country is like on the outskirts of the city that I live in and provides power for 3 states. And still, we were driving someplace and I pointed out to my kids, hey kids, look out the window. That is what's called a peaking plant. That is a power plant that turns on during peak demand hours during the day because the nuclear power plant doesn't have enough capacity to put out the power that this city demands between the hours of 3 and 7.
You're right. We need to do some research on this. All right, Josh, I kicked off something interesting, just a little fun side thing that we do on our subreddit at reddit.com/r/baditmagic. I kicked off the Badit Magic 2025 Baddie Showdown. So I generated some random numbers and some seeding, and I came up with 16 Disney baddies, and I created a March Madness style bracket for having them do a showdown. I haven't been real specific about what the showdown actually means. Like if these two fought, who would die first? It's more like which one's a better bad guy. But I didn't say any of that. It's kind of up to you what you want it to be. So the left half of the bracket has the first 8, and the right half has the second break, and we've done the left half of the bracket. So results are in, Josh. Are you ready to hear how we're doing in the Disney Baddie Showdown?
So before you do that, one, this was a surprise to everybody, including me. No idea that this was happening, and I immediately posted all of my votes for the entire first round.
Okay, great. So the number 1 seed, by popular demand, Maleficent, the evil queen from
Absolutely.
Sleeping Beauty, who can transform into a freaking dragon.
Cursed a baby to die because she wasn't invited to a party.
So she got matched up against number 16 seed evil queen from Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, 1943 or whatever it was.
That's just an aging Instagram model that can't get over the fact that she's not pretty anymore, okay? People have died for worse reasons.
It was a slaughter, literally. This was unanimous in favor of Maleficent. So Maleficent has advanced to round 2.
I don't like my stepdaughter that's slightly prettier than me versus I'm going to kill a baby I've never met. Yeah.
Our next matchup was between Scar from Lion King and Shan Yu from Mulan.
The guy who...
captain of the raiding Mongolian horde.
In real life, life, the Mongolian horde is way worse than any lion. Now, in the fiction that Disney has presented to us, that guy was a good leader, empowered his troops. Like he just had different political opinions than his neighbor did, and he was the first guy, boots on the ground. Like he was a very admirable in a different context. This is a war movie where he's the hero. Okay, now Scar killed his brother in cold blood and gloated about it to his face as his last words.
So which one did you vote for?
Oh, Scar. 100%
okay.
Scar's
I must have been the only one that voted for Shan Yu, because I just think if it was a fight between a Mongolian general and a lion, the general's winning.
Is that really how you took this? Like,
yeah.
They're going to fight these people? Like, most of these villains aren't combat-oriented people, Ben.
Okay, well, then that's good, because our next matchup really mystified me. So Scar won that one pretty easily. So far we've got Maleficent and Scar have advanced to the second round. Now, Hans from Frozen versus Gaston from Beauty and the Beast.
I refuse to believe that Gaston is a villain at all in Disney. Like from his perspective, he's doing... Not even from his perspective. Like,
so does that mean you voted for Hans because you just want to declassify Gaston as a Disney baddie?
No, I still looked at both of these actions. Okay, we have one who is practically the protagonist of the movie that he's in. That's Beauty and the Beast versus Hans, who, like, hands down, just such a bad person. Okay, first of all, like he was totally leading on this girl who had never seen a man. Essentially, and just immediately.
Yeah, if this movie wasn't G-rated, this would have led to sexual assault for sure.
He catfished her so hard, it's ridiculous. So already that's deplorable. 2, he fabricated the whole scenario where like he's gonna have her sister killed at the drop of a hat. Like, ooh, I see an opportunity here. And then lastly, when he finds out that his presumed girlfriend is going to die, he's like, wow, that's a real win for me. And then gloats in her face, like locks her in a room, totally expecting her to be dead by the time he comes back. Like,
okay.
That guy's not a good person.
No, definitely not. So that makes him a higher ranking baddie than Gaston? Like he's more bad?
Yes, by far. Gaston is not a bad guy. He was literally trying to save a damsel in distress.
So I feel like Gaston should have been able to take this one easily, but he failed to. And this was a close victory by a single vote. Hans advances to the next round over Gaston.
Which means, unfortunately, listeners, you're not going to get the bonus episode of me by myself railing for an hour and a half about how Gaston is not the bad guy.
Misunderstood. Okay, well, that's good. I'm glad we don't have to have that bonus episode. So Hans advances. So far we got Maleficent, Scar, and Gaston. The final matchup in the first half of the bracket.
Maleficent, Scar, and Hans. Hans, not Gaston.
Sorry,
you said
Maleficent, Scar, and Hans. And finally, we have the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland versus Ursula the Sea Witch from The Little Mermaid.
Okay, so Ursula she didn't kill anybody, and so she didn't murder anybody. She's trying to make a deal. Everything that she's
kind of like Guima from K-pop Demon Hunters. She's collecting souls.
Well, she's lawyering it, man. All these people like willing to pay market value for whatever deal that they made, and they couldn't pay up, and so I'm just collecting what I am due. Like, she had contracts with all these people. They are willing participants in their own destruction. Versus the Queen of Hearts, who is introduced to us by murder.
She's just a rage monster.
It does not change the fact that she had multiple characters executed within the first 2 or 3 minutes that she was on camera.
Okay, so there's definitely a discrepancy in murder here, but as far as which one is a better baddie or who would win in a fight, I don't know.
I voted for the Queen of Hearts just because she's the autocratic dictator that it doesn't humanize enough and is just using her power willy-nilly to just eviscerate anything that she perceives as against her. That said, Ursula won. Spoilers, everyone.
Yeah.
And I can see why. Ursula is a more calculating in her evilness. Even if it's not as evil, she is much more deliberate about it.
Great. So I think this was a bit of an upset. Maybe so was Hans. So we got Ursula and Hans. Okay, so
if you keep implying that Gaston was the bad guy, we're going to have problems, you and I.
When we get to the second round of the playoffs, we'll have Maleficent versus Scar and Hans versus Ursula, but that's not what's next. What's next is the other half of the bracket. So we've got Lady Tremaine versus Captain Hook, Mother Gothel versus Jafar, Hades, the god of hell versus Dr. Facilier from The Princess and the Frog, and Cruella de Vil versus Yzma from The Emperor's New Groove. So,
okay, Hades is the god of death, not hell. It's the underworld where all dead people go, not just the bad people. All the dead people in Greek mythology go to the underworld.
Great, actually, thanks, Sir Josh.
Also, I don't think that's fair. We need to have a special category because I think Hades and Dr. What's-His-Face, I think they're going to piss off from this whole tournament and go get a beer together.
I've got friends on the other side.
Who do you think he's talking about there?
Okay, great. So I'll put up the other half of the first round after this episode goes live. So if you want to get in on the action and not just give your votes, but also make your opinions known, you can go to our subreddit and join in there. Thanks for joining in on the fun with the Bad at Magic Disney Baddie Showdown.
Ben, I have another segment that I want to do.
Go.
Okay. So a long time ago, probably several episodes ago, we were talking about you are fascinated with this concept that I didn't want to pull forward in the drive-thrus because I got screwed too many times on it and I just stopped. I started to politely refuse. Malicious non-compliance kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then I had to update you recently because I said I have recently been pulling forward when they tell me to because things have gotten better, because it's now part of their set process, and now I'm not forgotten about, and it's just kind of mean of me to order 40 deep fried chicken nuggets and then expect the guy behind me who got a milkshake to wait for all those to deep fry to be done. I get it.
That was a very generous hypothetical anecdote. I'm shocked.
I'm trying to be better. Okay. I'm trying. That said, I have an update for this whole thing because the other day it was this past Wednesday. My kids had their their second cross country meet, their first away cross country meet, and they were done and we were driving home. And I'm trying to build this up. As a parent, it doesn't matter what their performance is. You've got to encourage them to continue to do the things that are good for them. Like, you guys did great. What do you want for dinner? Let's go out. Let's grab some food, take it home, and that's whatever we want. And we settled on nuggets. We all wanted chicken nuggets, and the best chicken nuggets come from McDonald's. And honestly, this is a really good deal that they have, and they still have it. You can get 40 nuggets and 4 medium fries for like $20. And I mean, that's a smoking deal if you like chicken nuggets, which we do. So we go to McDonald's. We go to our favorite, the one that's in our town. It's on their way home. Get to the drive-thru thing. I want the 40 nugget deal, and then I want a burger for my wife because she doesn't want nuggets. She wants her normal hamburger order. They're like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. Pull around to the front. Easy. Go to the first window, I pay. Go to the second window, they're like, hey, you just ordered 40 things that we've got to deep fry. Would you mind pulling around? I'm like, yeah, no problem. And so I pull around. They've got dedicated parking spots at the building that are labeled drive-through pull forward slots. But I say that they're dual purpose. It's for the drive-through and also for the mobile order.
Huh.
So McDonald's now has an app. You can order on the app, and you can tell it when you're there and what spot that you're in, and they will bring it out to you.
Right.
And spoilers, that's how I will be ordering McDonald's from now on. I pulled forward in this spot, and we sat there, we're turning on the radio, and we're talking, and it's fine. And then the kid, there's one pimply teenager that's working this thing. The poor guy, he's doing the best he can, and he was so upbeat and so friendly, but he's got an impossible task, and that is pleasing me when it comes to giving me my food from the drive-thru. And he came to the window multiple times with clearly what is not my food. And I know it is, like, before he like walks out of the building, I know he does not have my food. He's like, for Dylan? No. And he walks away to the other car. They get there and they drive off. And he comes back with like another tiny bag.
That's just a breakdown in their system.
Yeah, they don't. That's the thing is I'm realizing, okay, they didn't take my name. I didn't tell them what spot I'm going to go pull into because they don't know what spot I'm going to pull into. So he's got a mix of... You
fell into a black hole.
He's got mobile orders that are being picked up that he has a name for and presumably the spot that they are sitting in. But I'm just a random guy from the drive-thru. And the third time he came around, he's like, oh, what did you have? Like, I had 40 nuggets and I had a burger. And my order number is this. And I had it on my receipt. I'm holding it in front of him, like $13.29. He's like, okay, I'm going to go find out. And he leaves. I suspect that he gave my order to somebody else. That's what I suspect. Because I didn't know this.
Because now you're starting from scratch as far as, like, getting your stuff.
Well, all right. At this point, we had been there for 20 minutes. And he had been to my car 4 times with orders that were not mine.
And your kids are sweaty in the back seat.
I have seen like 3 or 4 different people get the big box that is clearly the 40 nuggets and the 4 fries. And so I'm pretty sure he gave mine to somebody else.
Somebody else was like, woohoo! It's my lucky day.
And here's the thing. Like if somebody took it, here's the other problem with this. If somebody drives up, if I see this kid walk out with a box, hand it to somebody into their car, watch that person open it and dig through it with their grubby fingers and go, oh, this isn't mine, and hand it back to the kid, and then the kid tries to hand it to me, sorry, no. Random stranger next to me just put their disgusting digits through my food. You can go ahead and throw that in the trash and make me a new order, please. But then the kid comes out finally the 5th time. He's like, what did you have? And I told him my order verbatim without looking at the receipt because I know what I ordered. And he goes, okay, so you had like a burger? I'm like, okay, here, take my receipt. Here's my receipt. Go inside and get my order. And he goes, okay. And he takes my receipt and he goes inside. And he was gone for another 10 minutes. And then he comes back out without my receipt. And he goes, I'm sorry, you're going to have to come inside and talk to somebody.
What?
And this is
way worse than I thought it was gonna.
And this is at the point now where it's not that I'm upset. It's I'm suppressing the urge to like turn into a Karen and just full blown lay somebody out for their poor practices. And so I go inside and it's peak rush hour for the dinner rush. Right. Okay. Everybody is just moving. Even the manager, like I watched the manager with his tie on take a bunch of orders out to the cars, like with this kid trying to get people out of here. Okay. So I'm at the counter waiting for, like, the manager walks by and I go, I need to talk to you, when you come back inside. And he goes, and like, just deer in the headlights looking at his face like, okay. And then he goes to deliver the food. And then the kid starts trying to, like, listen, this kid, random kid at McDonald's. I know you had a tough job. You had an impossible job. Don't try to empathize with me. Don't like be like, man, it's like so crazy in here. I can't believe it. I'm just trying to do the best I can. Like the 3rd time he said something, I literally like put my hand up and like, I got it. Like in the tone that's clear. Like if you don't understand that I don't want you to talk to me anymore, then you are denser than I can give you credit for.
Aww,
and so the manager comes back in and he goes, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know where my order is.
You never brought me my food.
I've been here for half an hour. Like, I paid. You told me to pull around. I pulled around. I've been waiting for half an hour. Nobody has my food. I ordered this and this. I ordered your 40 nuggets, 4 fries, and a specialized cheeseburger with no onions and no mayonnaise. That's all I want. And he's like, okay. And he goes off. And he's like, oh, do you have your receipt? I'm like, no. He took my receipt. Not his fault. He's doing the best he can, but he lost it. I don't have a receipt proving. I know what my order number was. I know what, I can rattle it off.
You memorized the number at this point.
Yeah, I have the number memorized because as soon as that kid took my receipt, I knew I was going to need that number. And so the guy, it was such a kerfuffle. It was such a cluster. I want to say swear words. It was so bad. Yeah. Because then he goes, and he comes up to me with a box that is the 40 nuggets and the 4 fries. You had the 40 nuggets, 4 fries? I was like, yes, that's one of the things I had. And he rips the tag off of it that's clearly not me and somebody else and hands it to me. And I was like, cool, thanks. And I take it. And then the person, one of his employees, who is the one that assembles orders, runs over up behind him. And he goes, no, don't do that. Grabs the box out of my hand. And she looks at the manager and goes, I've got it. I've been putting it together. And takes it back to the thing. And I'm like, what is happening? And so, like, to their credit, like 2 minutes later, they came back with my order. Like, they had a big box and a little bag, and it had a burger in it. And they're like, all right, sorry, that was such a script. I'm like, it's fine. I've got it now.
What do you think happened? You think you just gave your food to someone else, and after that, there was just no elegant way to recover from the error?
Yes, I think that he walked up to one of the cars with my order and said, did you have the 40 nuggets? The guy goes, yeah. And then he just took that without checking to see exactly what was in the box, okay? Okay, Ben, this story's not over yet. I get the box of my food, and I get in the car, and we drive home. They made it custom for me. I know they did because all the order numbers were 4 digits, and my order number on this new receipt was 101. I feel like they had some kind of emergency priority system. Like, no, this has got to flash override. The president is waiting. We've got to get this food out kind of thing, right? I get home, and we open the box. Ben, it's not 40 nuggets and 4 fries. It's their other deal. It's 20 nuggets and 2 Big Macs and 4 fries.
Oh, no.
Okay, I will tell you this right now. If I had discovered that they had given me the wrong food on my way out to the car, I would have burned the restaurant to the ground. And so it's probably better that I made it home without knowing that not only did I wait 30 minutes and have to go inside and yell at the manager, but then after all of that, they still screwed up my food.
Yeah. So then what? Did you go back?
No, I did. I'm not going to drive back. I ate a Big Mac.
You and I are the same. Here.
I am past the point of caring now. But what I will say is this, Ben, I'm never going through a McDonald's drive-thru for the rest of my life. If my kids want McDonald's and we're in the car, nope, sorry kids, we're getting out and we're going to go look a person in the eye so he knows how much bigger I am than they are so they don't screw up my order. Or I'm going to get the mobile app, and if I ever even have the hankering that I want McDonald's, I'm going to order ahead of time and I'm going to pull up into that spot 5 minutes before I said I was going to be there, so that way maybe it's still hot.
Yeah. All right. I have like 3 things I want to say about all that. One is I want to give our listeners a history lesson. So what Josh was referring to is it was like episode 3 of the Bad at Magic podcast when Josh first had this experience where it was early in the days of them trying to optimize their drive-thru procedures so they would tell the car in front of the window to pull forward so they're out of the way so that they could move faster orders through. And Josh had the bad experience where like he'd pulled forward and then they forgot about him and ended up in the black.
This happened back in the day.
And so the solution that Josh came up with was just to refuse to pull forward. Not belligerently, not angrily, not confrontationally, but just politely say, no thanks, I'll wait here while you bring me my food. Then you can't screw it up and then I'm not in your face and you can just move on with your life and ruin my day.
And as a pleasant side note to all of that, a pleasant side effect was seeing all of these minimum wage workers realize in real time that they had absolutely no authority over me whatsoever.
And yet the ground shifted underneath our feet. We've been podcasting so long that sometime in the past 6 years, particularly companies like McDonald's that make a great deal of money and have a lot of management associated with optimizing things like drive-through wait times and doing things like creating mobile apps and recognizing the potential growth in their business due to that, the world changed. And like Josh said, it no longer felt like you had fallen out of the system if you pulled forward so they could bring you your order.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like this time, this experience that I had, they had a guy, his whole job was just taking the orders out to the people that were parked in the parking lot. That wasn't a thing before. Somebody had to realize and remember, oh, this guy pulled forward. I've got to stop what I'm doing and go give him his food. That's just one example of how they have changed the process to integrate what they were asking me to do into the normal operations.
I stopped going through drive-thrus a long time ago for a when I have 4 people in the car or more, for a completely different reason than you. My limit is 2. Because we aren't like your family where we always get the same thing every time. My youngest daughter in particular never gets the same thing every time and will not make up her mind in advance.
Yeah, okay, this is a thing. I have a pretty decent short-term memory. We did this today. We went through the Dairy Queen drive-thru. And like I had everybody give me their order and they were completely disparately different. And I just had one of those moments where I'm like, "Yep, got it." And then I get to order everybody's thing, and that's a little pride for me.
Right. So you're like the waiter that's remembering everything without writing it down on your pad.
Yeah.
Not me. If I ask them what they want in advance, they'll say, "I don't know. Let me see the menu." So then we pull up to the window, and then I say my order, and they say, "Is that everything?" And I say, "No." And then I turn and look at the other person, and they're not saying anything. And of course, the person inside with the headset on can't hear that. They don't know that my daughter's still thinking, and they've got other stuff going on around them.
Do you know what we did today? This happened today. This is so perfect because we were driving to the Dairy Queen. I'm like, "Hey, we're going to Dairy Queen. Everybody know what you want?" "No, we got it. What kind of blizzards do they have? What's the seasonal thing?" I'm like,
"Right.
You all have phones. You all look it up." And then we're pulling up to the thing, and I go, "Does everybody know what they want?" They go, "No." And I go, "Okay." And I pulled into a parking spot and just waited. Let me know when you know what you want.
Okay, maybe that's my solution. Anyway, I couldn't take it. I cannot emotionally take it where I'm sitting there and I'm in front of the window and there's someone behind me waiting to get in line and my daughter's still in the back seat not making up her mind about what she wants. And then she says it, but she doesn't speak up loud enough because she doesn't think it's cool to yell out a fast food order from the back seat. So she says it too quiet and the person can't hear them. And then they have to repeat it. And then I have to repeat what they're saying. And then they heard part of what she said and part of what I said. And then they put the item on our order twice. And no. I'm not doing that. So like I stopped doing drive-thrus when there's more than 2 people in the car.
That's honestly not a bad rule.
But I do like the app. And yeah, it strings it out like to pass the phone around the car until everybody puts their order into the app and then we do it. But then then it's assured and no one's time is wasted. It takes something that used to be serial and makes it parallel.
Yeah. That's a good solution to it. Like every once in a while, we work Saturdays at my accounting firm, and then we'll randomly get a text message around 11 o'clock, and it's like, my boss's name has invited you to his DoorDash order. And you click a link, and then it takes you to the menu of the place that he's ordering from.
Nice.
And if you want to tack on your stuff to it, you can. If you don't, you just skip it.
Oh, I love when technology makes our life better like this. On Fridays, one of the directors likes to just turn up his Bluetooth speaker, and he invites everyone to the Spotify stream so that you can all queue up music in the queue. So we all become like DJs on this thing, and we get a little. Your director has invited you to his Spotify stream, and I'm like, great, cool.
I have some ridiculous parody songs that you should queue up into that speaker anonymously.
Josh, you're the reason these things get canceled. All right, when you have an HR meeting about Friday music.
Okay, everyone, I can't believe I have to say this, but can we not have songs about assaulting people in law enforcement on the shared community Spotify?
Yeah. All right, Josh, what are you reading right now?
All right, Ben. So I'm going to do the thing where I've got to talk about 2 books. The book I finished and the book I'm reading.
That's fine.
So the book I finished was Ego is the Enemy, and I don't remember the author, but it's the one I talked about last time.
Yes, that your wife gave you this book and you just humbly accepted it, even though it's kind of...
Yeah, Ryan something is the guy's name, and he wrote this book, and he talks about how his own life experience, and this helped me, and I've got a bunch of quotes and biographies that I read, and I'm going to pick pieces out of it and put it in my own book and then monetize it. I feel like is the most egotistical thing that you can do. I have such a small ego, I'm going to write a book written by other people about how small my ego is, and you should have a small ego too. Now pay me money because my ego is so small. I don't know, that seems kind of weird to me, like a self-licking ice cream cone.
You weren't as hostile towards the book last time you mentioned it.
I was going into it with an open mind. Now that I've read the whole thing, I can safely say that it was a waste of time. I listened to it at 120% speed, and there was a couple of good nuggets that came out of this thing. But all I could think... All right, so here's one thing. Before I go on to my but, there was a quote from some guy, and it was a military officer, and it was a guy that got to 06 and never got any higher. And he famously would bring like junior officers into his office at some point in their career and ask them, all right, do you want to be somebody or do you want to do something? And like this guy is perpetrating this like this crazy thing. It's like, yeah, you can either like be a politician and play the game and make it about you and be somebody, or you can let go of your own ego, focus on the work, and actually make a difference in the world. And I think that is such a false duality. It's ridiculous.
Huh.
But that's just one example of the kind of stuff that he was perpetuating in this book.
Okay.
And the entire time I'm listening to it, I just kept screaming at my car speakers, what about the prisoner's dilemma? Yes, it would be wonderful if everybody in the world went around with no ego and was altruistic and was trying to make the world a better place and not focused on themselves. Guess what? That is not a world that we will ever live in. And so if you have a group of 10 people and 9 of them are trying to move the ball forward, and one dude is all about himself, guess who gets all the credit for the hard work of these 10 people?
Yeah.
I said all that to talk about the book that I'm reading now, because the book that I am reading now is the one that you gave me for homework, and it's called Bad Blood, Secrets and Lies in Silicon Valley Startup by John Carreyrou. That is the last name that I was not going to pronounce.
Yep.
And having just read a book about how you shouldn't have an ego and you should do all the things that are correct, like that is such a jarring shift when we start listening to this
about
book.
Someone that actually has an ego.
Then this whole thing is about that. Like the two main antagonists in this book are just egomaniacs, and it's making me physically uncomfortable to keep listening to this. And
yeah.
All right, so one, I give
Elizabeth
you props.
and Sonny.
Yeah, Elizabeth and Sonny. So thank you for recommending this. I am enjoying it. 1.
Yeah, it's riveting.
2, it was really difficult for me to start this book after I finished the last nonfiction because, boy, did I want a palate cleanser. Like, man, I could really use 10 hours of some high fantasy to, like, really recage my brain before I go back into some hard nonfiction. But then 3, I was telling my wife this morning, about the book that I'm listening to, and I ended my little rant with, if somebody in this book doesn't go to jail, I'm going to be so pissed.
Right.
And she goes, wait, who's this book about? And I said the name, Elizabeth Holmes. And she goes, oh, yeah, I think that she totally went to jail. Oh, sorry, did I spoil it? I'm like, no, you've actually made it a more pleasant listening experience. Because I was starting to have anxiety for how horrible these people are and how hard they need to go to jail for it.
Okay, good. So listeners, if you're interested in this book, Bad Blood by John Carreyrou, it's the story about the Theranos, the Silicon Valley startup medical company. It's an excellent read. It reads like a novel. Check it out. We're going to talk about it in depth on the next episode of the Bad Magic Podcast.
This whole thing is like a Ponzi scheme with extra steps. It blows my mind that this crap happened.
Yeah, we'll do the full in-depth analysis next time. I did want to ask you, though, if you haven't yet made this into your very own personal pop-up video, start. Like, go watch the 15-minute, 60 minutes episode on YouTube and watch this unfolding.
I remember you saying this. Like, you like reading nonfiction because you can go find all of this stuff, right? And there was one part in this book where the author said, like, oh, and then this Elizabeth person gave an interview to Wired Magazine or went on NPR. And I was like, oh, I listen to NPR. I know what NPR like interviews are normally like. And I paused the book and I looked up the NPR interview with this person. And like I can see it from both sides. Like listening to this, like this sounds amazing. This person is going to change the world.
Right.
But knowing what I know, holy crap, how do you sleep at night?
Right. Okay, perfect. So some of this stuff you can find, because this thing unfolded over a long period of time, several years, like you can find like news articles early on when she was on the cover of the magazine of Forbes and Incorporated and stuff. And then you can find stuff in the middle when people are starting to get suspicious and it's starting to fall apart. And then you can find stuff way at the end, like after, post-mortem-y kind of stuff. It's all out there. It's really good if you're interested. You're like, what are they talking about her having this affected lower voice? What is that all about? Yeah.
It's a point, and he keeps bringing it up. And I will say, whoever wrote this book, this John Carreyrou guy, like, props to you. You made, like, what otherwise would have been just, like, it could have been a news article thing into, like, a really compelling storyline.
Yeah. Anyway, so we'll talk about that next time. I'm reading that. My wife and I listened to it together in the car for 8 hours this week because we went out to Southwest Utah down dirt roads, and that was entertaining. Every now and then we just pause it and talk about it because it's really thought provoking and it makes you want to talk. But I'm also reading a book by an author that you and I have read together before on the podcast. His name is Steven Pinker. I think he's a professor. I can't remember what university. This book is called When Everyone Knows That Everyone Knows. And the book is about the phenomenon of common knowledge.
Oh. Common knowledge is not common.
Yes, but it's not common sense. It's common knowledge.
Well, this is... Okay, Lay's Potato Chips is having to rebrand because they just had a survey come out where they surveyed people, and 42% of the people surveyed didn't know that Lay's were made of potatoes. This is a real thing. Example. Look it up.
Let me talk about something that happened on this podcast. This week, for our main segment, I thought we were going to review A House of Dynamite, the new movie on Netflix that just came out this week.
That didn't happen.
Because, okay, so here's what he focuses on in the book. He's a professor of, like, neurology, and this is very much about, like, brains and sociology and people and how they function and relate to each other. And here's what he's talking about. I know. Do I know that you know? And do I know, and do you know that I know? And do I know that you know that I know? And it makes a circle. And it sounds like you're being redundant, but it isn't. Each step matters.
Yeah, this is the communication cycle. Like me transmitting information to you. You might not hear it the same way or decode it the same way that I intended it. The idea in your head can be entirely different than the idea I have in my head because of imperfect language and previous biases and all kinds of things.
Right. And he gives example after example after example of this. And it's really compelling. I'll give you one real fast. And that is, like, you have two generals that have to send messengers back and forth. And they want to attack, but they're only assured victory if their attacks are synchronized. And so they have to start at the same time. So one general sends a messenger to the other one, says, we're going to start at this time. Does the other general then feel confident in starting at that time? Or does he need to send a messenger back to the first general that says, yes, I agree, we can start at that time? Then is that enough? But does the first person know that the second person knows that he knows?
Did you get the message saying that you were okay? Yeah. Like, all right, confirmed. Is it confirmed? Yes, it's confirmed. Are you sure? Because, like, right. I'm not going to put my life on the line if that guy didn't acknowledge. Like, you imagine shooting an email and not getting a, hey, we're going to meet at the airport at 5 and not getting a response back?
Yes.
Are you actually going to go? Like, you need the acknowledgement.
And as human beings, all this extra brain that we have in our head, part of it is dedicated to this thing about thinking about what other people know.
Well, here, I have a great example for you, Ben. I was recently got a text message that says, hey, do you have Netflix? And I said, yes, I do have Netflix. And then that person responded with, hey, you should go watch House of Dynamite. It's really good. And I said, okay, great. Thanks for the recommendation. And then I thought nothing else of it.
And I thought that meant that you recognized that we were going to do that as our main segment on episode 162 of the Bad at Magic podcast. But I didn't confirm that with you. If you said, sure, I'm going to do that, then I'd be like, okay, he is. But maybe we just needed one more iteration.
Yeah, something.
Anyway, the book gets a bit dense. I don't recommend it, especially to you. You and I
love this. We have these simulators in our head. What was I telling you? Like, Has-Been Hotel. Listeners, go watch Has-Been Hotel. It's great. I told Ben, hey, Has-Been Hotel is great. Don't watch it. You won't like it.
You and I read a book of his back in 2020, during the COVID quarantine, when hopes were down a bit, and we read Enlightenment Now, The Case for Reason, Science, Humanism, and Progress, written in 2018 by Dr. Steven Pinker.
Okay, I will say, I really like that book, because I am a very pessimistic person, and I am the first one to jump on and start doomsaying. He made some really cogent points for, hey, it's not that bad.
Right. Like, yeah, you make America great again when? When do you want to go back to? When in the past were things better than they are right now?
Ooh, that's the answer. Well, depending on your perspective, you can have multiple answers, but objectively, never.
Never. No,
well,
not in terms of...
Hang on. Objectively, 2016. I'm going to call it that.
Okay, I don't want to argue with that. That's good. Okay, so You got some homework, listeners. If you want to stay up with the Bad at Magic podcast, go watch House of Dynamite. We'll talk about that next time or the time after that, depending on how things work out. And also, we're reading Bad Blood, Secrets and Lies into Silicon Valley Startup by John Carreyrou. We'll talk about that next time on the Bad at Magic podcast. Join in. Also, if you want to be part of the Bad at Magic Disney Baddie Showdown, and you're listening to this, it'll only be up for a few days on the subreddit, but go and see if you can still get in. If you missed this round, you can catch up on round 2, and you can make your votes heard in that contest. Love for you to interact and be part of the fun with that.
If you like what we do, consider sharing us with a friend. If you like us, maybe your friends will like us too. If you really want to show us some love, consider taking your phone out of your pocket and giving us a good review on the podcast player of your choice. We get amazing visibility from that. And if you want to be on the inside scoop when Disney sues us for using unlicensed images of all of their villains, consider becoming a patron on our Patreon page.
And I would normally say one thing here, but listeners, if you're still listening, if you hung in through our usual outro, I want to tell you something that happened this week. Josh and I, on Sunday afternoon in the past week, were both on Magic Online playing a Magic Online Vintage Cube Draft, unbeknownst to each other, and amongst 2,900 active players, somehow went through a draft at the same time and matched up for pairings in the first round after a draft and started playing each other online, completely not knowing that the other one was even playing Magic Online at that time.
We got queued up against each other, and we were multiple turns in before I recognized, holy crap, I'm playing against Ben. And I don't know how I recognize, we didn't see each other in the draft, obviously.
No, and you put up what you always do in the chat, which is very nice and very polite, like, hello, good luck, have fun. And I just looked at him like, yeah, I'm not answering that. And then we started playing.
But my name was there, and your name was there.
I know, I didn't look at it. I
have both of those up all the time. And something in my subconscious kept bringing up your name. It's because it was being rapid fire printed every time you took a game action. And also, I was playing against you and I'm like, this deck my opponent is playing is wonky as hell and there's no chance he's going to beat me.
And so you looked up at the name, see what kind of idiot runs a deck like this? Oh, it's my co-host.
Holy crap, it's Ben. And then I stopped playing. It was my chess timer and I started spamming you on Facebook Messenger. You need to
I didn't have my phone on me
right now.
So then I looked down at the chat. I'm like, what? It's Josh. Whoa. So then I turn on Facebook Messenger, and I was not ready for this. I don't know why, but that morning when I woke up, I got dressed for church, and I was like, you know what? I just feel like wearing my Air Force sweater today. So I put on a blue button-up shirt and my Air Force cardigan that has the epaulets, but with no rank on the shoulders.
Uniform sweater. like you wear that in blues, man. What a nerd.
So you ambush me with this hey, come on Facebook Messenger so we can play Magic Online together. And I turn on my camera and you're like, what are you wearing? Why are you in your Air Force uniform playing Magic Online on a Sunday afternoon? I'm like, I got no excuse.
It was an awesome serendipitous thing that happened, and just a 1 in a million, 1 in a 2,900 shot that would be a thing.
So I want to say one thing about that. You made this point between you and me while we were playing it, and I think it's beautiful. Magic is a lot more fun when you can trash talk your opponent.
And it was. Oh, it was. So was.
Anyway, until next time, try to be a little less bad at Magic.